In this video, I'm going to show you how to do an oil change on a 2.4 liter Ecotec motor from GM. This is in a 2017 GMC Terrain. This is one of the easiest vehicles and motors I've ever done oil changes on. So if you own one of these, I'd highly recommend you learn how to do this yourself because it will save you a lot of money in the long run. So outside of a jack stand, and funnel and drain pan, there's not too many things you need to do this. So you're going to need some oil. You want to make sure it's Dexos oil, filter. Good idea too to get these gaskets that go on the oil pan drain plug in case you need to replace that. This is the only special tool you're really going to need. It's a 32mm short socket to get our oil filter cap off. Along with that, it helps to have a pivoting head on your ratchet. First step we're going to do is jack up the vehicle. Just come right up under the front. And right along here is going to be our jack point. We're going to just locate the center of that, and then on either side support the vehicle with jack stands. So the vehicle doesn't have to come completely off the ground, just where you can get up under and get to your oil drain pan comfortably. So I've got it jacked up with the jack. You don't want to rely on your floor jack alone. You definitely want to put a couple jack stands. So I've got the vehicle supported on the frame rails there. If you want, you can also use the pinch weld, which is right here. Okay, so we're up under the vehicle now. You can see where our jack is. What we're looking for is this right here. This is the bottom of your engine pan. This one over here is your transmission, and that bolt there, that's the guy we're looking for. So that one there is a 15mm bolt. You just want to have a drain pan ready to catch any oil that comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that off, and it's a good time to wear gloves if you don't want oil all over your hands. So we got that guy cracked open, and just going to go ahead and take it out by hand from now and just catch that oil. A lot of the times it will shoot further back than you'd expect, so it's not a bad idea if you grab your oil pan and just hold it up like this when you're starting. So we'll go ahead and let that drain out, and as that's draining we can go ahead and start to replace the filter up top. So as that's draining, we're just going to come in and undo this guy here. We're going to use that 32mm socket. If you don't have one of these, I'll throw a link in the description where you can get one. And you can see it is kind of tight in there. That's why having a pivoting head on your ratchet will make your life a lot easier. Once you get it loosened off enough, you can just usually go in by hand and finish it. Keeping in mind you are going to have some oil in here, so you may want to have a rag handy so it doesn't spill everywhere. So in this case, as I brought it up, the filter came up with it, which is fine. You just got to be careful that that doesn't spill all over the place on you. You're just going to want to wipe that up. So while that's draining, you just come over to your bench and get this ready. These just clip in, so just a little pressure will pull that out. And then also you have an O-ring right here, so you're going to want to replace that as well. Most good filter sets will come with the O-ring. There's a couple things about the cap. Just to get that O-ring off, you might need a little pick like that to get your new one on. Sometimes you can kind of just pinch from either side and they'll pop out. This one's pretty stuck though, so I'll have to do that. There's also a torque spec on it, 25 Nm, which in real measurements is about 220 inch-pounds of torque. And it's going to be real hard to get a torque wrench in there, but just do the best you can. New O-ring is on, so the old one just goes in the garbage. Your filter can just now snap into place in your housing, just like so. That's how it should be. Okay, it's not coming out of there. We can go ahead and install this in the vehicle now. So before installing it down there, if you have any dirt or any debris, anything like that along this rim where your gasket's going to sit, you're just going to want to go down there, clean it up with a rag, clean up any old oil and any spilled oil that you have. Okay, so I'm going to get it where it's hand tight and then go ahead and tighten it down to the torque spec. So when you get that guy tightened back down correctly, I'm going to go back under the vehicle to see what we got left. There's just a bit of a drip, so I'll just let that go for a little bit more. So one other thing to consider when you're doing an oil change is your oil drain pan bolt. This one here I pulled off another vehicle. You can see the head is damaged quite a bit here. It's a good idea just to go ahead and replace that with a new one. This one that I pulled off wasn't too bad, but definitely something to keep an eye on, as well as replacing this gasket down here. So back up under the vehicle now, we're going to go ahead and just wait for that drip to stop. Once it does, we'll just clean up the mating surface where the bolt is going to go. Then once you got your bolt reinstalled, you can just take the oil pan out from under the vehicle and then lower the vehicle to the ground. Okay, so we can go ahead and remove our oil fill cap, and also on it is the viscosity we need to use. So you want to make sure you get the correct one. Like I said, Dexos oil only in these things. That will not void your warranty. Okay, then you can take a clean funnel, just insert it in there, and then go ahead and fill it up with oil. So I usually go till I have about 4 quarts in. In this case I put just a little bit more than that, as this is 5 quarts. And then I'll just let it set for a sec. Then I'll take the dipstick out, check it, and if we need to add any we can. Usually you don't at this point. Once we verify that we have enough oil in there, we will go ahead, start the engine, let it run for a minute, and then check the dipstick again after it settles for a couple minutes. When you pull the dipstick out, just make sure you clean it completely along that cross-hatching section there, and then put it back in, and then take your reading. So in this case we're about halfway. Generally I'll add a little bit more just so it's up completely, because we are going to lose a little as it pumps through the system when we start the car. So we have our oil fill cap back on, dipstick in place. We'll go ahead, start the car, and then let it set for a couple minutes, and then check the dipstick after that. Main thing you want to keep an eye on is your oil light there. Just make sure that goes out. It's a good time as well to check underneath the vehicle where your oil drain pan is, just to make sure you don't have any leaks, and also up top around the filter cap. So we'll shut the vehicle off. We'll give it a couple minutes to settle, check our dipstick again, and then add oil if necessary. I'm only about 1/3 of the way up on this, so I'll definitely need to add some oil. It is in the safe range, but I would definitely want it a little higher than that. So that's it. That's how you do an oil change on a 2.4 liter Ecotec GM engine. And if you own one of these GMC Terrains, take a look at my channel. I've got a lot of videos on these things, just some basic maintenance you can do. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel to get the latest videos.